Hey, Facebook people, it's Keyla Kirton of Keyla Kirton Consulting. Thank you so much for watching. You are tuning in to Leadership Live Mondays. It's what I'm calling this. It's just a time where we get together, we talk about leadership, we talk about nonprofits, we talk about personal and self-development. I've been so honored and grateful that you have watched and joined. Some of you don't watch live or you're not able to watch live, but you watch the videos later in the week. And I'm just so grateful that you are able to join me. It's really exciting time. Just in the world, there's so much innovation happening, so many things going on, and I want to make sure that we take some time to really focus and really get ready for the coming year and start setting some goals. I'm really huge on that. One of the topics that I speak on from time to time is just getting things off and going, activating your vision, getting focus, setting some goals, and getting some things done. That's really a part of who I am and my makeup, which brings me to Strengths Finders. And today we're going to be very much interactive. So if you guys have any questions or want to chime in, definitely feel free to do so. Again, I'm Keyla Kirton of Keyla Kirton Consulting. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Central Time, 8:30, Eastern, 9:30. So I really appreciate your time. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We have a couple of housekeeping items to take care of today. One, I am super excited. Next week, I'm going to have a guest. He is going to be live with us from India. Okay, he's from Delhi, New Delhi, and he is from India. I have to tell you how I met Asad Mukesh. Assad actually did a training that I also did. Our church, Chase Oaks Church, we went through this training through the Giftedness Center in Dallas. If you are not familiar with them, with what they do and who they are, I highly recommend that you look them up. Basically, Bill Hendrickson created this idea that to find what your gift is, right? To get the essence of what you're called to do, what your calling is, you can analyze that through stories in your life where you really enjoyed what you were doing, and that highlight a moment that you are very fond of and you are super excited about. So whether that's like you when you were 5 and you were baking with your grandmother, that's a moment. And then as a coach, you collect all of these stories of the person that you're listening to, friends, family, clients, or what have you. And then from those stories, there's a format that you follow, and it reveals this person, it reveals this passion, it reveals these traits about the person. So anyway, so I did the training, and as I was doing the training online as a follow-up to the church doing it together, probably a couple of years ago, I found some comments from Assad, and in one of the comments he said, "Hey, you know, I love this training, and I'm planning to use this to launch my own consulting business." So of course I was interested, and I love connecting everything, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow up with him and find him on LinkedIn and see if he's actually done what he said he was going to do. Well, guys, guess what? He did. He is a Harvard-educated leader. Assad has an amazing story. He is also a consultant. So I told you I have a lot of people that I know that I've reached out to or am connected to that are also consultants and coach people. So it's so important. But anyway, Assad will be with us next Monday live from India. You guys are going to love him. He has an amazing story. He grew up Hindu in India, a beautiful family, became a Christian in 2005. And that's important because he actually was going through a lot of changes. And around that time, he also made major career changes. And that's when he decided to launch his business as a consultant. And he shared with me that his focus is on this group in India called the Untouchables. And basically, it's a group that immigrated from Africa to India, and they're considered one of the lowest castes in India. And he feels called to energize that group financially. So he does a lot of work with African immigrants that are living in India. He does a lot of work with them and to get them equipped, to provide vocational training, to provide mentorship with Google executives and technology executives around the world. So for him to be with us next week, okay? So you're going to have Assad. Can you guys hear me? Are you guys able to hear me? I think my mother is calling, so I'm not sure if there's a technical issue. But Assad will be with us next week, so that's really exciting. So I'm really excited to have you guys next week. Assad is also important because not only is he a coach, an executive coach, he focuses on technology. So if you have technology questions, app questions, he's built so many apps for all the companies he's worked for in the past. So you guys you're gonna really enjoy that. Okay, but even after that, so December 3rd, hey Cherise, hello. So December 3rd, really excited to share with you as well. So I'm going to have my Strengths Finders coach, Brandy Shade, is, okay, good. Thank you, Kim. So Brandy Shade is going to be with us December 3rd. And Brandy is the coach who is an expert in Strengths Finders. So can you guys comment if you have completed the Strengths Finders profile? You don't have to tell me your results now. Just make a comment down below to let me know that you've done it, okay? If you've done your Strengths Finders results, Brandy, I'm going to put you guys in a hat and draw your name from a hat. And Brandy will give you a small mini coaching session live during our session. And it's going to be up to you. If you want to say, hey, these are my results that are being discussed, it's fine. If you want it to be private, it's fine. But Brandy has offered to give a short coaching session where she'll take your top 5 results and she'll give you insight. And I'm telling you guys, it's really going to impact the rest of your year in 2019. When you kind of understand how all of your strengths come together, it's going to blow your mind and it's going to set the course for how you move forward, whether that's your career, your personal life with your family, your interactions, the next moves that you're doing, the vision that you haven't acted on yet. This is going to be critical, and I'm so excited to share Brandy with you. Brandy offers coaching as well on her own, so definitely encourage you to find her. I posted also a flyer with the spelling of her name. All of my contacts are happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. I do a lot of my work on LinkedIn. You guys, I hope you guys are using LinkedIn properly, and maybe we can talk about that in the future. But definitely connect with them on LinkedIn. Tell them that you heard of them from me, and get those conversations going. Brandy is amazing. She has a giving heart. She's also a personal trainer, so she's really into just holistic wellness, and she's amazing. So Brandy's going to be with us December 3rd, and she and I are going to coordinate so we can be in the same place. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to be together. Brandy's going to talk about a little bit about my results, mostly about your results. So if you've done your Strengths Finders, highly recommend that you let us know. So let me know in the comments below. Also at Keyla Kirton Consulting, I have a newsletter that I'm gathering together. So I'm building a newsletter together because I want to share articles. I want to share strategies and things that I read and I'm feeding myself on so that I can be in the know of what's happening with the nonprofit laws and nonprofit grants and everything like that. Cherise, so yes, and like I said, please feel free to comment and interact today. We're going to be very interactive. As far as the coaching, so if you've taken the test and you've done the results, you will get a free mini coaching live in our show December 3rd with Brandy. So you won't have to pay for that. If you want one-on-one with Brandy, yes, there is a fee associated with that. I'm not sure of the details of her fee, but definitely reach out to her, get the conversation going. She is amazing, and it's worth your time. She needs to be one of your contacts. She needs to be one of your resources. Oslin says she purchased the Strengths Finders book. Oslin, if you purchase the book, in the back of the book, there's a code. I now have the app. I've shared my book with someone else, so I don't have the book to show you. But there is a code that comes with the book, probably in one of those envelopes in the back of the book. Rip it open, enter the code, go to the Strengths Finder site, create a profile, and take the test online. It'll give you your top 5. When you've done that, let me know. You can privately send it. You can submit it via my website, Keyla Kirton Consulting. Yes. No. So the Strengths Finder test is free if you purchase the book. And I don't have a book with me, but the Strengths Finder exam or test profile is absolutely free. The book, you can get the book from $15 to, maybe $18 on Amazon, sometimes $12. Make sure it's a new book so that it's not a used code. So get the new book, and sometimes half books, because the book has changed and it's been around for a while. But Half Books has it, so you probably can get it maybe for $10, $12 at Half Books. So I'm all about saving money too, so you can try that. But definitely get the book. The test is free with the purchase of the book. Get your top 5s, send them in, and Brandy and I will select one of you. We'll let you know before December 3rd that you've been selected, and Brandy will provide you with information about your top 5. You guys, it's going to be so awesome. And I'll share mine as well. I'll share my top 5 too. My number 1 top 5 of the 5 is Activator. And some of you know that. You might kind of understand that. But Activator is a big one. And it was really good. Hey, Dorothy, it was really, really good to understand, hey, why am I very quick, and I love projects, and I love getting things started, and I love big picture strategy things, but I also have connectedness, and I have relatedness. So I like to relate to people. I like to connect people. And as a connectedness person, I see how everything is connected. Yes, I see how everything is connected. I see how people kind of connect. So I love to connect people. So anyway, but trust me, you guys, my relatives that have seen Brandy's comment about my top 5, they're like, you know what? This is like the manual to Keyla. It explains Keyla. So I'm telling you, I'm so excited for you to try this. Yes, Oslin, definitely. So if you purchase on Amazon, did you guys know that you can donate 5% of your purchases on Amazon to the charity of your choice? And Amazon is connected with the charity database that the government has for 501c3s. So you just enter and search the name of the organization and they pop up. So Oslin is offering you guys the opportunity to donate 5% of your Amazon purchase of Strengths Finders or Multipliers, the book that I talked about last week. If you order it through Amazon, if you search for Backpack International, that 5% of your purchase will go to them if you so choose. And that would be amazing. Oslin does a lot of work. She goes to South America and beyond. She wants to expand. And they work with children. And they're building buildings and they're expanding. It's very exciting. So if you want to support an amazing cause, definitely I recommend that you support Backpack International, especially for your holiday orders. All right. So Brandy's going to be with us. Take your test, get it done. You have a little bit. You have about 3 weeks to get it done, to get the book, to get the test, get your top 5, so that we can take full advantage of her free service that day. And again, I promise you, it'll change your life. So how is everyone today? What are some of the things that and if you can write this in the comments, that would help me so much. But what are some of the things that you guys are working on? You know, I think I've seen a few of the same faces every week, and I just want to make sure that you guys are activated and you're getting the push and the shove that you need to move forward and to get things done. You know, sometimes as leaders, we can become a little stagnant. You know, we have ideas and we have vision, you know, we have resources, or maybe we don't know how to make the best of the resources. So I want to make sure that if you have questions, put them on the comment section. And ladies and gentlemen, we can talk. Let's talk about what's going on. My fragrance line, credit restoration. Yes, and yes. So Dorothy, fragrance line. And in fact, Dorothy, I saw your post today that you created a fragrance, and I think it was called Brooklyn Girl. And I love that. That's incredible. You know, and it seems like you have taken steps. You're getting it done. You're creating a prototype. You know, you're moving forward in exploring, you know, the business models. Have you guys, and this is another question, have you guys reached out to your local business associations in your city, in your town? And Cherise, maybe this is something that you and I can present on and talk about, because I know that you were on a board for the Small Business Association in your city, and in the Chamber of Commerce for your city. So I think those resources are so critical. A lot of times I get folks that come to me and they want, you know, me to help them research or do business plans, which is fine and I love to do. But a lot of times I'm going to refer you guys back to your Chamber of Commerce. You need a mentor in the business world that knows and has done what you guys have done. So Dorothy, for you, I recommend get on LinkedIn, find a mentor today, like find a mentor. And Kim, I'll get to your job offer negotiating, because I do coach a lot on that. But I would get a mentor. It's too easy. It's dumb easy. You guys go to LinkedIn and you reach out and you kind of get an industry person. You guys, I've got maybe almost 2,000 connections on LinkedIn. Every single one has been people that I either know or people that I aspire to, that I admire, that I've read their book. And I just put pen to paper and go, hey, I loved your book. This is what I learned. These are the takeaways. Right? Yes, these are the takeaways, and this is what I've learned, and I'd love to connect with you. Chamber of Commerce is an amazing way to do a lot of the LinkedIn networking face to face. You all have something in common. You want to develop your communities. You know, you want to grow your organization. So, you know, when you have that commonality, people want to help you. So a lot of times you guys are paying for things that you can get at your Chamber of Commerce, whether that's space, whether that's a mentor. There you go. Dorothy, you hired someone. And yes, and you're going to do the same for fragrance. Absolutely. Don't waste any time. And don't just have one perspective. Get on LinkedIn, connect with someone else who's in the same process as you, someone who's a little bit further ahead, maybe someone who it didn't work out for, so that you can befriend them. And Dolly, you're very good with meeting people, so you would be great. So you would be really great at making those connections. So I'm going to go back up on the comments, but definitely your Chamber of Commerce is critical. And what I love about your local Chamber of Commerce is that they will do a launch for you. Even if your business isn't brick and mortar. I just attended a launch for a book. There was a lady who did a book, and she sort of started this group of ladies. They each wrote their own book, but then she did a collective book on all of their stories and their journey as authors. Isn't that brilliant? I feel like everyone listening to this video right now, we could all do that. We all know friends who have remarkable stories. We all have girlfriends and guys who've done amazing things. And imagine if we all got together and said, we're going to write a book. We're each going to be accountable, and we're going to write this book. We're going to get together every week, talk about our progress, talk about the chapters we've done, yada, yada, yada. And then we're going to publish a collective book, right, about all of our stories with snippets of our books, promoting each one of our books. brilliant. So I had the pleasure to attend a grand opening for the launching of a book. Can you imagine? So it doesn't have to be that, oh, I have a store or I have a business, I'm doing a grand opening. It could be a grand opening of an idea, a grand opening of the concept of your business. So I highly, highly recommend that you guys be intent, be intent and be intentional, but be intent on going out there, talking about your idea, connecting with people who have walked that path before you. It's so important. And if you guys do nothing else the rest of the year, we've got, another 2 months before the year's over. Make that be a goal. That's a goal that you guys can knock out of the park, like literally tomorrow. You can call the Chamber of Commerce. You can tell them that you're an aspiring business owner or you have an idea and what do you need to do to join, and just do that, and it'll be positive. It'll change your life. So I think you guys really, really could use that. Oh my gosh, Dorothy's writing a book. Oh Lord, I hope I'm not in the book. I might be in the book. I don't know. It depends on what you're writing about. But it's gonna be good. We've done some crazy things too, Dolly. I hope you'll start that book from your 30s, so that all of my crazy business is not in your book. Oh, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Yes, a ribbon cutting for courageous leadership. Yes. So we're staying in that topic of the business and the chambers of commerce. Yes, so Dorothy, you don't have a brick and mortar necessarily for courageous leadership, but definitely you can talk to them about a ribbon cutting. Thank you. And I've been using the word launch, but it would really, really be great. Okay, and Dorothy, I'm so excited for you with the book writing. And Dolly, you're a connector as well. I bet if you did StrengthsFinder, you would have woo. I can almost predict. You're going to have woo, you're going to have connector. But anyway, as a connector, Dolly, your book, you going through this process of writing this book, that can impact other people. There are other people who have books in them. And if you have that motivation and that focus, start a focus group. Start a group of ladies who are also writing, need to write their books. All right. So love all the ideas, and I love what you guys are all doing. It's really exciting. Job offer negotiating. Okay. One of my favorite topics. And, I'm getting ready to change everything in my business. Okay, so Cherise, keep writing. I'll get to your comments as I scroll down. So I'm scrolling back up, and I see Kim negotiating salaries and offers when you're being hired. My favorite topic, my favorite thing to do. I've coached a lot of people on this, so it's kind of my passion too. And we've done it successfully. So here's the main thing. Okay, you don't talk salary until you've gone through the hiring process. Sometimes we get preemptive with that conversation. And you don't have leverage to talk salary when you're not their guy or you're not their girl. So don't waste your time. If you've applied for that position, guys, if you apply for the position, that means you've done the research. You have an idea of the range of the pay on average of that position. Maybe it's nationally if it's a big company, locally if it's a small company, but you have a clue of that pay range because you've done your homework. So therefore, even if you don't get the top that you're thinking of, you've already accepted the fact that you're okay with the salary when you applied. I don't understand how people, and I've been through it on the side of an employer where I've hired people or have been in the process of hiring people. And then once we select them and we absolutely love them, they say, well, I didn't expect the salary to be this. Well, if you had done your research, especially when I worked for public organizations, they post salaries for different positions. So it doesn't take rocket science for you guys to actually figure out what that salary is going to be. right? Because you can look up Joe Schmo was the person who was previously in your role, or you can search by the position title and hear all the salaries for those people. So this is if it's a public organization. Private organizations are a little trickier, right? Because private organizations don't publicize salaries. But you still can figure it out if you go to Glassdoor. There's so many other sites, even LinkedIn, if you have the premium LinkedIn membership. There's so much information that's available to you online, and sometimes some positions will post the salary. So let's get to that point. So first point is do your homework. Do not apply for a position within a company if you know the salary range is not going to be what you're looking for. Don't apply for the position, period. All right? So let's say you've applied for the position, you're going through the interview process, and they absolutely love you, and they are calling you to say, hey, we've done interview 1, 2, and 3 and pre-screening, and we really want you, and what's your salary preference? What is your range? Or what is your previous salary? Okay, those are all very trick questions, okay? Your previous salary is irrelevant, and I'm telling you this because, again, I've been on the other side of that. I know how leaders and managers use that information, and it's irrelevant. So even if they're asking you what's your previous, you guys want to talk about what the range is for that position. So always answer that question with where you're comfortable within the range of that position for what you've done the research for. So you always have a number in mind, okay? Another thing that I'll tell you is that when we're thinking salaries and positions, and this is also good for the nonprofits as well, because a lot of times when you're communicating budgeting and costs of things, cost of staff, right? So you have your nonprofit, you're creating a budget. You're saying, okay, the director's salary would be this. So I'm donating my time in kind at this rate because this is what a nonprofit director, this is what, a teacher or whatever it is that you're doing. This is what we get. There you go. So Kim, and perfect. So you have your number there. All right. But, you want to think, when you're thinking salary, you're thinking the package is usually that rate that you've researched there. So, and that's a really wide range, which is really unusual, but you're saying national. So that sounds like it's a big company, depending on the market. Maybe Dallas might be higher. Maybe New York might be closer to that 106K. All right. So I would try to narrow that down to your area where you are, and the package is usually that base salary plus 30%. 30% is fringe benefits, any other kinds of benefits that they offer and discounts, and if it's perhaps it could be stock options. A lot of companies do that. So you have to factor that 30% to that salary range, because when they're talking to you, that's kind of what they're talking from as well. They're talking about that base plus that 30. Okay, 30 also includes what they contribute to your insurance. Okay, huge range. Education. Okay, yeah. And the other thing with education, if it's public ed, I worked in public ed as well, and I can tell you it's really not negotiable. Public education people usually don't have, and I love public ed, they usually don't have expert certified compensation analysts, especially, and Kim, please answer, is it a public or a private institution? Because if it's public, it's not really negotiable. They have these built-in steps and built-in formulas that they use. If you have this many years of service and you have this certification and this level education, this is the number, period. And it depends. If you're coming from a different system and you're starting over, then you may be in a different place. So all of those rules would be listed in their compensation handbook. Sometimes public institutions will post that online, and you can get a hold of the comp handbook. I've done it. I've looked up companies. I mean, I've worked, the Walmarts of the world, the Toyotas, and I've been able to get my hands on comp handbooks to get a sense of, oh, they posted the position, they're offering me this. Oh, this is the middle. Okay, so I can do the high, and this is what that high number would be, and this is what I'm going to go for. So, Kim, if that company is public, you can probably access all of that online. Okay, but do your homework is the key here. So with that range, I would try to narrow that range down specific to the region where you are. I would try to get a hold of their compensation handbook if possible, okay? If they're public, you probably can get a hold of that online without having to jump any hoops. If they're private, you probably won't, okay? But ultimately, the key is public institution positions through a grant, still union. Yeah. Even if it's through a grant, usually the public institution is going to use that same, grants usually pay a little more, but they're going to use that same base from the district that it's associated with. Okay, so again, I would look at that compensation packet. Is it an administrative role or is it an educator role? Seems like it might be an administrative, like a leader. So if it's a leader, if you're a leader, then I would go with that. I would make sure that you look at the mid for the position if you get your hands on the comp book. And usually when they're hiring you, they're not going to give you the high end of that step. Right? Because if they give you the high end of that step, then you're going to have compression, which means that you're going to get to the point where you're not really going to move up the steps of the compensation ladder properly. And then so when they're talking about bonuses, if that's the setup, if they're talking about bonuses, then you're going to be stuck as administrative. Okay. So maybe if there's a bonus or if there's a 4% increase, it's going to be difficult to calculate you if you're at the top of that grade. So my recommendation is always, if you get your hands on that scale of the grade of how their salary structure is, and you probably can, being that it's public, you always go to the low or mid, okay, for the grade, right? So if you're saying that range is 55 to 106, and we're getting very technical, you guys, but I would go for the mid to the high mid of that grade. You never go for the high because they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do that. They have to have a certain cushion between, this level position, which I'm calling it a grade for the position. I have to have a cushion between a supervisor and a manager, and then the manager and director. So if I have all of my people at the top of each grade, then you don't have that wiggle room. So if I'm promoting from within, right, then you're going to go from supervisor to manager, and maybe instead of seeing a $15,000 increase, you're going to see a 5. Right? And it's not because they don't appreciate your work. It's because the math isn't working out because you're at the top of your grade. So typically we try to keep people in the middle of the grade so that it makes sense. So that when we're moving people up, they see a significant change. Okay? So those are some of the closed door, behind the scenes conversations that we have in HR about staff. Sometimes we have to, I've done projects where we've had to take one particular position and change everybody's grade, which for some people gave them an increase. For some people, they ended up at the same place. Some people got less money and it was a big mess. So those are kind of the things that you guys, don't have to necessarily consider, but it's good to know that that's kind of how these salaries are being presented to you. So I would say after you've done your research, go for the mid or high mid. Play with some of the percentages, no more than 15% of. So if you have a number, if you see an average, add that 15 or 20%. And I think that would be a good place to start the conversation. Always do a counter. And I guess it's 9 to 5, but I love this topic. You guys, I've read so many stories about even The Muse, which is an amazing book, and it's a great website for networking too, and jobs and things like that. But in The Muse, they talk about how women don't counter offer ever. And you guys, we have to counter. We have to counter. Do not accept the first offer. You have got to counter. Okay? Where were you when I had these AP jobs? Yeah, Cherise, girl, please. Yeah, you have to counter. You have to counter. It's very funny because I'll give you a story. I had a person that reached out to me. They were applying for a position. The position was listed at 72K a year, right? As the base salary. Oh, okay. 72. Mrs. Clifton's going back to work. Mom's returning to work. Okay. So 72K. So let me tell you about the 50. It was 48K. Let's go with that story. So we had a person, 48K was what they were offering. They called this person. They told them, hey, we love you. We want to hire you. This is the salary. Now, we've done some research. We had done some research, and the average was 56 or 57K. So we knew that wasn't their real offer, right? That wasn't their best offer. So I advised this person from 48K that was offered. My recommendation, again, we looked at the minimum requirements of the position. This person exceeded the requirements, right? My offer, and you guys are probably going to be shocked, but my offer counter was in the low 60s, okay? And I'm not going to say how much, but it was in the low 60s. So this person kind of called me back and picked up the phone right away and said, there is no way they're going to go from 48 to low 60s. Like, Kayla, there's no way they're going to do that. I said, yes, they will. And I did my research and I did my numbers and did my math and my little, backdoor behind the scenes HR math that we do and how we come up with these numbers to offer you guys salaries. And I told him, go for 62. And that's your bottom line. Okay, good. Do you guys know that he put out the 62? Of course, the recruiter, she kind of laughed it off and said, well, we'll send it up to corporate. We'll see what they say. Okay. And I said, well, yeah, hang in there. So a couple of days went by. You counter immediately. They give you an offer. You counter the offer. Kim, at what point? But anyway, long story short, it went up to corporate, and corporate didn't hesitate. It took a couple days, because they want to see, do you really mean that? Do you really mean that? And sometimes the recruiters don't believe, but we're going to make some of these recruiters a believer, all right? We're going to make them believers today. So we made this recruiter a believer, because the recruiter said, I haven't heard from corporate. I don't know what's going on, yada, yada, yada. And guess what? They came back and corporate approved the 63, 64 offer. Okay. So, I'm telling you guys, so you have to counter. So at what point do you counter? You counter as soon as they give you the offer. You counter. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule. Like if you're walking into a situation, if in the interviews all they're talking about is money, and they're saying that, hey, if we bring you on, we may not be able to pay you right away this amount. We may not be able to do this. If they're crying that they're broke and they can't afford you and they would love to have you, if you're going through the interview process and this is what's going on, you know what? You can negotiate anything else. You guys, I've had negotiations of PTO, personal time off. I've had people walk in the door and they couldn't negotiate salary because we really couldn't justify it. And typically, as an HR leader, they'll send up those counters to us. So they'll send it to me, and then I'll have to review it and look at the job description and look at this person's background and look at the department as a whole and where everybody's sitting and make the determination, is this feasible? Are they at that compression stage where we have everybody kind of in the high end of that grade? Yada. How do they compare to other locations? How do they compare internationally, nationally, and on and on and on? So once we do this justification and do all that crazy math, right? Sometimes we can't do it. I can't approve it. And if I go, and I have a range that I can approve. So if you want to go up 20% of your offer, there's a certain level that as an HR leader, senior leader at the division level, I can approve. But then when you want to go 30% more than the offer, then it has to be approved by higher ups, which is, it takes time. So anyway, a lot of backdoor stories I'm giving you, but it helps you. But the bottom line is this. You've got to be comfortable, and you have to trust the process. But if they're telling you up front that they cannot do, that they're limited financially on what they can do, you can negotiate anything else, from personal time, to vacation? Would you take a verbal agreement from the organization? Absolutely not. Verbal agreements do not matter. And this is why I believe in the counter offer up front, right away, quick and fast, hard and fast. Because unless they've cried that they don't have any money and they can't help you, and then you already have been told that the financial negotiation is off the table, and respect that, because if they're telling you that, that's exactly what it is. And I've seen people not be considered anymore because they pushed that topic. So if they've told you they can't do it, negotiate something else. But if they tell you that they'll do something for you later, verbally, do not take a verbal promise ever. It's a lot of ways that you can document this without being a nuisance and being that person that's new and that's causing a lot of drama, okay? Because you don't want that either. You know, we all sort of, it's like playing in the sandbox. You want to play nice in the sandbox. So you don't want to be that person that's creating a ruckus and you haven't even gotten in the door. Excuse me. However, if they give you a verbal, there are ways to document this. One would be through an email to that recruiter. Typically, the recruiters are interfacing with you. You're not dealing with the hiring manager. The recruiter is asking questions and giving back information to you. Well, if you're countering and the recruiter goes and runs and asks given person X, whoever, could be a person like me, could be the hiring manager, and they come back and say, we'll see what we can do at the end of the year. Maybe we'll add it to your bonus. Okay. I would respond what you're being told over the phone via email. And you know, HR people, we have to be queens of documentation, right? So I would respond via email and say, hey, Lisa, thank you so much for confirming that as a part of my bonus, my increase of X amount would be added. Can you just reply, or can I get a written confirmation, or please include this statement in my offer? Okay, because that's the key. That's what we need in compensation, in HR, and I've been a part of those processes too, where we're doing and the bonuses and the high bonuses too. And when we're putting those packages together, and I'm looking at my top 5 people or the new hires that we promised them the world, and we promised them 15%, and we promised them 20%, and so now I have to vet that. I have to audit that this person's going to get this, and I have to sign off that they're going to get it, and I have to communicate that they've gotten it on this date and put that on the record, right? Okay, what I'm looking for to validate these promises, because I get a lot of executives who come to me, especially you administrative leaders, and you guys come to my office and you go, well, when I was hired, the recruiter told me that I was going to get 30%. Now, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to go, let's look at your file. Let's see what the offer letter says. And if it's not written, if you don't have a written record, if you don't have an email, then we're not going to honor it, and we're not obligated to honor it. All right. So Sharice is saying that she knows someone who has been offered a job with a company, but they could not start immediately due to a pre-scheduled event. The company initially said the person had lost the opportunity, and then they called back to say the person was able to start once they returned. There was nothing in writing. Yeah, no. The way you negotiate that is you need a new start date. You give them a hard and fast start date, and you say, hey, I need a new start date. Because again, you know, you guys, we put a lot of trust in these processes, and you forget that you're not, you know, the world has evolved. So we're not dealing with one person, you're dealing with teams. So a lot of times you have conversations with the hiring manager that are in a silo, but then when that hiring manager kind of trickles down that information up the chain is not with it. Up the chain wants somebody tomorrow. And if that person can't start, then we're moving on to the next. And that decision is outside of that person's hands. That's why a lot of times you get folks where they don't call you back, or the recruiter doesn't call you back, because these decisions are not made, and you guys, excuse my voice is going, but these decisions are not made in a silo. These decisions are made and vetted and audited, especially for you guys going for those high supervisor, administrative, principal, assistant principal roles, you guys, you need to know that no one's giving you 15% bonus and stock options without somebody else checking and without somebody else having a say. It just doesn't, that's not the world we live in. And whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a public institution, private. Would you counter verbally after accepting? Yes. So the counter, the system, and we're going to go over today. I hope you guys are good, and thanks for hanging with me. But the counter, oh, yes, I'll tag Dara, absolutely. Okay, you guys, so how to counter Dr. Dara. Absolutely, you guys. If one of you can write her name in the comments, she should be able to see me. So the counter offer, oh, Kim said she needed this session last week. I'm so sorry. So yeah, the counter offer, there's an art to that as well. Oh, good. Okay. Hey, Dara. So the art to the counter offer is really, really simple. You want whoever you've been talking to on the phone, that's the person that you start the counter offer conversation. Let them guide you through the process. A lot of organizations, if they're using Workday, if they're using Taleo, they'll send you an automatic offer that's electronic. So it's not a conversation, it's a file, and you DocuSign it, or you type your name and you say, yes, you accept the offer. Or you can say no, you can decline the offer. Don't decline anything until you've talked to a human being. If that's their process, if their process is there's a recruiter, the recruiter's talking to you, or there's an administrative assistant, she's talking to you, and she's telling you that they're sending you the offer, and please look out for this email, and please confirm receipt, and you receive it, and you're not happy, you're going to counter. You call that person and say, hey, thank you so much. I got the offer. I'm so excited. However, and they're going to go, uh-oh, and you're going to go, yes. I want to talk about the salary. I'd like to counter. How do I do that? And you talk about, okay, well, what were you thinking? Because they're going to try to talk you out of it. And you're going to go, this is what I'm thinking. And this is why. And this is what and yes, I know. Yes, we know you're good. Yes, we know you have all this amazing stuff. That's why we want you. Let me see what I can do. Don't, and sometimes they'll tell you, don't decline the offer. Sometimes they'll tell you, because depending on if it's Taleo, if it's some other applicant tracking system, they get glitchy when you decline, and then that recruiter has to do all the work to create, again, this is all behind in the kitchen stuff that y'all don't care about. But sometimes we have to do more work and start the process all over. It gets a little hairy. So sometimes they'll tell you, don't decline. By the time you get accepted and by the time you get through the process, you'll see the letter with the correct amount. Okay, if they tell you that, again, that's an email. Hey, thanks for answering my call. Per our conversation, I'm going to accept the offer pending resolution of my counter, or however you want to word that. Okay, so you'll do that. You'll send it off. Or they'll tell you, go ahead and decline it. Let's get it approved. And you'll get a new notification with a new offer. So typically, that's how you want to go ahead and manage that negotiation. Never, ever press a button without talking to a human being. Because if you press that button and you decline, you don't know who's watching. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, us in HR, we're watching that process, especially for the leadership positions. I'm watching, and we're talking about you guys, and we're saying, wow, this person, they were so quick to decline. Look, the email went out at 8:25, and at 8:35, this person declined it. Did they talk to you? And we're talking to the recruiters and saying, hey, did she call you? Did he call you? Did he say why? How do you just decline it? What kind of person just does that and doesn't? So we're talking about y'all, and we're making decisions and making assumptions about you guys, and you're all like in this kind of silo, just click, 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 click. So don't click, click, talk to people. Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, talk to somebody, talk to a human being. Let them tell you what is the best way for me to go ahead and decline this offer, submit my counter offer. Okay? Never settle. Thank you, Sharice. That's correct. That is exactly what I'm saying. And again, there are exceptions. If they're telling you they don't have it, they can't do it, don't fight that. But if no one's talked money with you, and the first opportunity to talk money is that offer, counter the offer, counter it. Add 10, add 20, put a number, put a math, so it's not just you adding $1,000, or, don't waste your time if you're just $1,000 off, you know what I mean? But if you're adding 3 to 5, depending if it's a 10, do a percentage so it makes sense. But if that's, what you're negotiating, yes, I would not accept the first offer. Not ever. Okay. I'm so glad this was helpful. And if you guys, I'll offer my advice and my recommendation. If you guys are negotiating salaries, I can do that in 5 minutes. It's not a thing that takes a lot of my time. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things. And a lot of people, in HR don't like payroll and don't like compensation, but I actually enjoy it because it makes sense. It's like math, and it's like black and white, even though maybe on your end it's not black and white because you're just throwing out numbers, but for us it's black and white, and we get the opportunity to be consistent and to be fair and make sure that everyone is where they need to be. So that's always fun. So anyway, I really hope this was helpful. For those of you who came on later, make sure that you go back and watch. Please subscribe to Keyla Kirton Consulting so that you can get alerts and you can get information about our speakers that are going to be coming. So next week, we're going to have Asad Mukesh. He's going to be here live with us from India. He's a technology guru, Harvard educated guy, Christian. He's awesome. Yes. Would you use a similar salary strategy when you're self-employed? Okay, yeah, I can talk about that. Being self-employed, myself even as a consultant, I don't really, because a lot of the work that I do is a labor of love. I could never charge what I would charge. Good. I could never charge what I would charge for my services to a larger organization because I work with nonprofits. So honestly, for me, in my case, I have to throw all the rules out. Sharice, depending on who your clients are, if they're small businesses, some of this may apply, but really, as you're presenting what you do and you're talking about what you do as a small business owner or as a consultant, as a service provider, you're talking money. And you and I can talk offline, but sometimes packages are more economical for the organization. And I'm always about what's economical for them. What can they do? How can we work together? As opposed to a set rate, because a rate doesn't always work. And sometimes, Sharice, they don't really know what they need. And for you to do your best work, part of that is guiding them to, hey, we really need this amount of time to get this done and get it done right. This is the goal that you have, and this is how we get there. And this is how I know that we can get there really successfully. We can really do it to the nines. So yeah, we can definitely compare notes. But, with the nonprofits, I kind of throw my rule book out and I let them guide the conversation. And that's also probably a reflection of where I am in my business too, where I'm working with a lot of startups. I'm working with a lot of smaller organizations. So they don't have the capital to do that. So I'm really doing more coaching, advising, and a lot of my packages are more focused on getting them to do the work and guiding them through the process, and me being a part of that process too, but not as hands-on and not me taking over the process, because we couldn't afford me taking over your you know what I mean? I couldn't charge them what it would cost for me to take over and run this section of your program. So that's kind of that deal there. Again, I'm so happy this was helpful. Tune in next week. We're going to have Asad, who's awesome. You're going to love him. And then December 3rd, we're going to have Brandy Shade. Please get Strengths Finders. Please take the test. It will be worth your while. And let us know that you've done that by subscribing at KeylaKirtonConsulting.com. And then once you've done that, we're going to select, and we'll see how, I mean, Brandy's awesome. She might just do a whole group of y'all and just sort of put it together. So I want to get those results to her early so that she can decide how she's going to use her time and answer your questions. So super, super excited to have all of you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see y'all next Monday.